Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Churner's Digest. My name is Alex, otherwise known as Fear the Z, and as always, we'll start us off with our disclaimer. I'm not a financial or tax advisor. This is not financial or tax advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, but please do enjoy. And we'll start off here, just some housekeeping. If you want to support the Patreon, go on over to patreon.com/Churner's Digest. I have a referral page in the companion site on the companion post at fearthez.com. There's some new links in there that I'll talk about this episode. The intro music you listen to is by Sweaty Lemon. If you're interested, there's a link in the companion site as well. And shout out to the new Patreon members. We have Sunny, Brenda, and Wolverine joining us. So thank you to the three of you. And as always, shout out to Cleed for the Cleed tier. This will probably be my last one of the year. Just for holidays, I'll be traveling, and I will probably just fully take off the time. I know last time I traveled home, I wound up recording 2 episodes, I think. But I think this time I'll just take the time off. So this will probably be the last one to the end of the year. But I do have a bad habit of always working. So when things pop up, I do jot them down still in my little notes that you can have access to if you're on the Patreon, and the lightning deals that are posted on the Patreon, those are probably still going to happen if things pop up. So if you're interested in continuing to get some content from me, check out the Patreon. It's only $1 a month. All right, we'll get right into it. This week is going to be a hodgepodge of things between Doctor of Credit things that I saw that were interesting, or just some interesting articles that I was reading, some stuff happening in the space. So first was just kind of an overarching topic of American airline closures. So for those people that don't know, American Airlines, I think back in 2020, they have a pretty strong habit of closing down accounts for people that are gaming the system for their Advantage mileage program, more so than other mileage programs. I haven't had any experience with it. I haven't done anything major with American Airlines. I've only recently started flying them more frequently. But originally, American Airlines started closing down accounts, which looked to be in relation to people using rental car backdated credits to keep their accounts open. So there's a good additional reading that the Dr. Credit linked to, which was by Dan's Deals. But basically, if this is taking straight from Dan's Deals site, if your last mileage activity was on January 1st, 2018, and your miles expire on July 1st, 2019, you can reactivate them by requesting mileage credit for a car rental that you made in June of 2019. That credit will retroactively unexpire all of your miles. So what people were doing is they would either intentionally or unintentionally, after the fact, go and ask for credits for rental cars that they did in fact purchase. Now, some people, there are claims that some people are submitting rental cars that they didn't themselves purchase. Other people did, and they just asked the other person to put down their American Airlines frequent mile number. According to Dan's Deals, if you didn't have a car rental, there were people who did this, and they could put down your mileage number to get a mileage credit for their car rental, or you were able to do that for another family member. There's never been any backlash for doing this in the past. American Airlines is now shutting down accounts for people that were doing this. So this happened a little while ago, and since then there's some class action lawsuits that are coming up because of it. There's a particular law firm that I will link to the Reddit comment that originally shared the information, but there's a law firm that's now looking into it. So if you were impacted by this, you can reach out to the law firm and see if you can get any compensation, or if you could be involved in their litigation, if that's something you're interested in. And then also tangentially related, Dr. Credit just shared today that they shared this earlier, but I missed the original article. But the law is now going live today in the state of New York. They have passed into law a grace period for credit card rewards. So reading verbatim what it says from the new piece of legislation says if any credit card or account rewards program is modified, canceled, closed, or terminated, the holder must receive notice from the issuer of such cancellation, closure, termination, or modification as soon as possible, and in any event within 15 days of such cancellation, closure, termination, or modification. Beginning with the date on which notice is sent, the holder shall have 90 days to redeem, exchange, or otherwise use any credit card points. So, I mean, that's a win for consumers. It looks like it's New York Senate Bill S7104A. The information's on the Doctrine of Credit post if you're interested in reading about that. I haven't been impacted. Actually, technically, so Ness just recently shut down, and if I was living in the state of New York and this happened after this legislation came out, Ness would be legally required to give me 90 days to withdraw my rewards. And what I'm interested in seeing is that it says if any credit card account or rewards program is modified. Now, they're in the case of Ness, their options for redeeming your rewards fluctuated very frequently, where often days there'll be like, say, a Kava gift card available, but then other days they'd be sold out. And then other days there'd be Chipotle gift cards, and other days they'd be sold out. So I'm curious to see how something like that would fall into this bill and how it would be impacted for those customers in New York. And I'm also wondering if these credit card companies have the infrastructure in place to allow for these additional 90 days. I don't know when this originally came out. It looks like, I don't know when this Dr. Credit post was originally reported. Looks like maybe back in July of 2020, so a long time ago. So hopefully they had time to implement it, and now customers can just reap the rewards. But I figured I'd share that information because I thought it was pretty interesting. Next, just wanted to call out that there's a Hawaiian and Alaskan merger that was proposed. Normally these don't go well for the consumer, but American Airlines has announced plans to purchase Hawaiian Airlines for $1.9 billion, which includes $0.9 billion in debt. Two brands will continue to operate alongside each other. The deal is expected to close within 18 months. Anytime there's less competition, it's not great. I'm actually flying Alaska for the first time this February. They have a deal where if you purchase a plane ticket with Alaska to a particular set of airports, and that airport and Alaska is partnering with a local ski resort, you get the day that your plane ticket is for, you get a free lift ticket. So I'll be visiting a friend in Boise, and we'll go to a lift there for free. I think it was Bogus. I think we're going to Bogus. And I land at like 2 p.m. So in order for it to be the same day, I'll have to do some night skiing, which is like $60, but Alaska was the same price as every other airline. So it's basically a $60 discount, which was nice. And when I go on that trip, I will share whatever travel experience I have with the airlines, with the airports. I've never been to Idaho. I've never flown to Boise. So we'll see if they have any nice Priority Pass lounges or anything of the sort. So stay tuned for that. Next, Dr. Credit reported that Chase is scheduled to launch a, quote, the edit by Chase Travel for Chase Sapphire Reserve members. There isn't much information on what that's going to be. It looks like Chase is describing this as an evolution of luxury hotels and resorts programs. Booking will give card members breakfast for 2 property credits and room upgrades. And the name is horrible. I don't know how you'd call it, the edit by Chase. But sure. I mean, if it's anything additional that happens for the Chase Sapphire Reserve customers, why not? We'll see if it's worth anything. It says it's supposed to come early 2024, but we'll see if it's actually anything to talk about or anything to note of. Next, I received some emails both from Venmo and Amazon that Amazon's dropping support for Venmo when you check out, which I thought was very interesting because it just recently became a thing. Like I think it was earlier this year that Venmo, you were allowed to check out on Amazon via Venmo, and it happened very abruptly. I think they gave like a 30-day notice for when it was being removed. It's like by the end of the year. So my guess is something behind the scenes happened. Maybe Amazon wasn't happy with some business terms or something. Venmo will come up later in this episode. So, I mean, maybe it involves that. I'm not entirely sure. But it did seem like a weird partnership because Venmo is owned by PayPal, and PayPal and Amazon are not exactly don't exactly coexist, because Amazon is Amazon Pay, which is similar to PayPal, where you can go to certain sites and pay with your Amazon account, where you can go to certain sites and pay with your PayPal account. So it kind of makes sense to me, but it was weird. It was just so abrupt, and I figured I'd mention that. Next bullet here. Meal kit discounts looks like they're changing for the worse. Now, I haven't done like a full episode on this, but it was definitely heavily influenced by the Daily Churn, where he does a lot, or did a lot of meal kit deals. And for a while, I think I'm still doing them, but they're definitely not as prevalent as they have been in the past. But I think since I want to say like July of last year, I've pretty much eaten every single dinner of mine off a meal kit, and I don't spend more than like $5 per meal. And meal kits are weird, where it says it's for two, but it's really not. I eat the whole thing for two people. They're not very calorie dense, and they're not super rich in protein either, but when you have both of the servings, it's good enough. But I noticed that the meal kit discounts they're always a little bit annoying, where it says like, oh, you get 165 meals for free, but then you read the terms and it says your first box you get 58% off, then your second you get 42, and then your third you get 30, fourth, fifth, sixth you get 10% off, something like that. Which, it was annoying to have to read through that, but at least you knew, okay, the first box I'll be getting 58%. Normally I look for like above 60%, probably like 70% is a good deal, especially on the first box. And all I would do is just make new accounts every time and just add like a period to my Gmail account, and it would look like a new account to HelloFresh and Blue Apron and all these companies. But I first noticed with Blue Apron, and now I'm seeing it with HelloFresh, but they're no longer doing these percent breakdowns. They still say like, 165 free meals, but it just says in the terms at the bottom, discount will be dispersed over your first couple boxes. Please go to the checkout page to see the actual discount. So if I wanted to still be heavily into these meal kits, I'd have to go through each one of the links. Like whenever I receive these emails, I just scroll right to the bottom, check where it says first box, and I check to see what percent is. And I know HelloFresh, if it's 58%, it's not worth it. Blue Apron, if it's like 65%, it's worth it. But now it doesn't say what the discount will be, so I'm not going to sit there and click through each one, because you have to make a new account every time and go all the way to the last step just before you put in your credit card to see how much you're actually going to pay. So it's just not worth the hassle anymore. I will still probably do shopping portals. So I believe Top Cashback allows you to do it multiple times. I know I've received 2 Top Cashback credits for Blue Apron, but I think that came as a glitch, so I'm not entirely sure. But in their terms, they don't specifically say it once per account. So, and then speaking of meal kits, I have a couple Every Plate codes. Every Plate is definitely the cheapest of the options, and they're not super inspiring with their meals. It's normally like ground beef or ground pork Asian noodles, or like a chicken taco. But the meals are usually really cheap, especially with these codes, especially if it's your first time. So the terms are specifically, you get $70 off your first box, excluding the shipping. So if you get a 6-meal box and it's 2 servings per person, I consider that 6 meals for one person. But if you don't eat a lot, it could be 6 for 2. And that'll probably come out to like maybe $30, depending. And that's a decent deal. I usually target for about $5 per meal or less. So there's 3 codes on the companion site if you're interested. Definitely first come, first serve. So hop on those whenever you can. And be sure to look and see if you do have any shopping portal offers. Every Plate is usually pretty low. Maybe it's like $12 on some sites, but you can still click through and then add my promo code and see what happens. Next, I was browsing the Curve subreddit and saw an interesting comment by user NuCall. I don't know what their background is, but they seemed to have gone into Curve's financials and just done a little bit of research. And it was an interesting read for me. Basically, if you don't want to read through it, it's not very long, but the TLDR is, looks like UK is growing strong, but Curve is definitely running out of money. They just recently took a loan for £20 million. I think it's a pound, at a rate of 8.95%, which is definitely high. So we'll see what happens to them, but I figured I'd call that out. I know Curve US, I think I've mentioned this prior, but they've stopped applications, so they're starting to roll back. But it's still working for me. I still use it, so hopefully it sticks around. Next, I wanted to just discuss a purchase that I made. So I run occasionally. I would say I'm kind of a runner. And I was using a Galaxy Watch 3, which was getting old. It's probably like 2 or 3 years old, and they just don't last very long. Like the battery is terrible at this point, and the processor is just very slow, and it's clunky when trying to use the interface. So I figured it was time for a new one, and I got it for Christmas from a relative. But I'm like, you don't buy it. Let me do it, and then I'll just charge you for it because I'll get a good deal. So Galaxy Watch originally, I picked the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, which is originally retails for $449, but it was on sale, and with a trade-in as well as some Retail Me Not offers, actually not including the Retail Me Not, but with a trade-in of my Galaxy Watch 3 and promotions that were going on at the time, it came down to $161, and then I get 10% off with Retail Me Not, so it came down to under $150. And I could have done it for the Watch 6, but I specifically chose the Watch 5 because it's titanium. I like the watch band a little bit more. It's easier to come on and off. And I was going to go with the Watch 6 Classic, which has the physical bezel that you can twist. This one has a digital one where you just like rub your finger around the edge of the screen. It doesn't work amazingly, but it does the job fine enough. But this one has a much larger battery than the Watch 6, and it also has a feature where if you go for a run and you run in like one direction and you weren't really paying attention, you can tell your watch to route you back home, and then it'll show you a little map and it'll show you breadcrumbs of where you ran. So I haven't used that yet, but if I ever want to run like more than my normal distance, I could try a feature like that. But the real reason why I wanted to mention this was because if you go back to episode 22, I was targeted by a Chase bonus offer for spend $150 on like utilities, gym membership, stuff like that, and get $15 back. And I was checking my Chase statements, and I noticed that I had a $15, it said $15 utility bill credit. And I was like, what the hell is this for? And it turns out that the purchase on Samsung's website, their merchant category code is utilities for some reason. So Chase triggered my Chase bonus to spend $150 and get a $15 credit. So technically I got the watch for even cheaper because that triggered. I did move my Arcadia, which is where I pay my electric bill. I moved that over to my Chase card in order to trigger this bonus, but that bill hasn't come through yet, so I switched it back to my normal Elon Max Cash preferred card. Next, also in episode 22, I opened a Security Plus account, but I hadn't heard anything back from them in like a week. So I chatted with them like in their little secure message online, and I didn't get anything. So I called them, and oh no, actually that's not true. I received an email and it said that my account was denied. Or no, did I? I can't remember. I think I called them and they said my account was denied. I don't remember if there was an email or if they told me over the phone, but I know that my account was denied, and I asked them, and it was specifically because I put my name as Alex, but not Alexander. My legal name is Alexander, but I go by Alex, and I put down Alex, and normally it's not a problem. They don't really care if you use like a preferred name or your legal name. I should have put Alexander, but maybe I did it quickly. I don't remember. And they denied me on those grounds. So that was pretty annoying. So the credit card funding of, I think it was $2,000 was refunded, and the account was never opened, which is kind of annoying. Next is a bit of a rant, but something that happened to me this weekend. I was out at a concert on Friday, and I was out late in the city, so I was looking to Uber back home, and I'm checking Ubers at like maybe 12, 1 in the morning. And I've talked about this in the past, but I have a lot of Uber gift cards, and I get them on discount. Normally, a good discount for me on Uber gift cards would be like 20% off. That's including like whatever coupons you get, like buy a $200 gift card, get $20 off, and then plus any cash back you get. So 20% plus is a good deal. So my account balance is like $300 at this point. But I'm sitting there looking at my Uber and it says like $40 for me to go like a 15-minute ride. I'm like, what the hell? It's like 1 a.m. I'm not in a super congested area. I'm really surprised. So my buddy's with me. I'm like, hey, can you look on Uber? And his is half the price. And I have good reviews. He has good reviews. I mean, I'm sure they have pretty in-depth algorithms to determine how much to price you, but I'm starting to think that they might check to see if you have Uber Cash in the account, because Uber Cash, I feel like the people that do have Uber Cash are probably people that got them on discounts, or they were gifted them, so they're gonna have to use them anyway. So the money's locked in there anyway. So I have no way to prove this, but that's my going theory is that my Uber price is being hiked up because I have Uber Cash. So we'll see if I ever run out of my Uber Cash, if that theory holds true. But I figured I have a medium to vent about it on my podcast and figured I'd mention it. Next is something I didn't see a report on Dr. Credit, but I live in the New England area and we have a grocery store called Market Basket, which I frequent often. I love Market Basket. They have very cheap groceries and the like. And I was going in and I saw a picture that they posted up of some gift card discounts. So I figured I'd mention them here. Market Basket is doing 10% off of select gift cards, including Uber and DoorDash. I know I just mentioned that Uber might be hiking the prices, but that's just a theory. But if you're interested, there's a whole bunch of other gift cards, including like Bass Pro Shop, Bath & Body Works, Domino's, DSW. If you're interested, it's running from December 3rd until December 17th, so there's still like 4 days left. But forget I called that out. It does say till supplies last and no rain checks, so definitely check your local Market Basket, but see if that's there. Next, also an update from episode 16 this time, which was the Europe trip. I think I mentioned it during that episode, but while I was abroad, I have Mint Mobile, and they don't do anything with international. It's like $10 a gigabyte. So I was like, oh, let me buy a local SIM card. So I went to like a local little shop and picked up a Lyco Mobile SIM card, which you just get the SIM card and then you go online and activate it and purchase it and then put it in your phone. But I wanted to just do an eSIM because my phone supports eSIMs. And I was like, oh, let me just try this. And I know my Pixel also supports dual eSIMs at the same time. So it's like, oh, that should just work fine. So I went in, purchased Lyco Mobile. It was like €7.50. And I paid through PayPal, and it says, we ran into an issue. Sorry, try again. I'm like, huh. So I try again. It says the same thing. I check my email. I have 2 transactions from PayPal in my email. It says like you made a purchase with Lyco Mobile and nothing came through. I'm like, that's weird. So I try one more time. Nothing still comes true. So I had 3 charges for €7.50. And I never got any service. So when I got back to the States, I called Lyco Mobile. Their customer service was horrible. They hung up on me the first time because they didn't understand. They're like, did you buy it in Ireland or did you buy it in the United States? I was like, Ireland. And he's like, well, that can't be true because I don't remember why, but he was very short with me and actually hung up the phone. And I had to call back, and they also didn't help me with anything. They said, oh, please email this email address. So I emailed them back in September, and I emailed them like maybe 10 times, and I really have heard nothing back from them. They said that they're just looking into it. So I finally decided to file a dispute with PayPal, which was a really easy process. I hadn't done it before, and I know I've heard a lot of people enjoy purchasing through PayPal because there's good customer benefits. So I had 3 individual transactions I had to dispute. The first one was instantly refunded to me, which is nice. And then the next 2, all 3 of them I attached screenshots and proof and explained my situation. The other 2 are in review, and the one was instantly credited back to me. So we'll see if anything comes of it. But if you learn anything from this, I would suggest against Lyco Mobile. My friend who was with me did successfully purchase it. I don't know why mine was getting declined, but I will not be using Lyco Mobile again because they are cheap, but it seems like their customer service is absolute trash. Next, I opened up an account with Monzo. They're one of those fintechy app banks. I just did it because they allow debit card reloads, and I have a little bit of a loop that I'm doing that's earning me some passive income from debit reloads. I won't be talking about it publicly just because the person to share it with me doesn't want to share it publicly, but I've given little breadcrumbs of previous episodes, so maybe you can piece it together. But that's it for that. There is a referral for it. If you spend $10, you can get $10. I put it in the invites link, as well as there's a link under the bullet for Monzo on my companion site for the blog post for this episode, which is in the show notes. Next, Dr. Credit shared and caused me to purchase a deal for a Pixel 8 Pro. I have a Pixel 7 Pro, and I have a bad habit of updating like every year. But I seem to get really good deals. So this one, specifically my Pixel 7 Pro, hasn't been acting well lately. It often just hard freezes. Like I don't even know how to describe it. You know I really don't know how to describe it. When you like unplug an HDMI cable, and then sometimes there'll be like one streak across the screen of like gray fuzz, and it'll go black. Well, my phone freezes with like one streak of gray fuzz, and I can't do anything except hard reset it. And it's very annoying when it often happens when I'm like trying to navigate home in a bunch of traffic in this horrible city that I live in, and it's very inconvenient. So I saw this deal come up, and I was like, screw it, I'm going for it. The deal specifically was Google Play Gold or greater members. So I think I got this from having Google One, and I have a Google One 1 terabyte subscription, which is $100 for a year. I use it for Google Photos uploads and Google Drive backup. But I think as a side effect, I also get like every week I get like a reward in Google Play for Google Play points. And then if you accumulate enough points, you earn status within Google Play. So I earned enough points to get Google Play Gold. That actually expires at the end of this year. But Google is offering a Google Play Gold and higher members a 40% off discount on a retail price of a Pixel 8 Pro. So 40% off of the retail price for a Pixel 8 Pro 256 gigabyte, because I want to replace my 256 gigs because I like to store music locally. That comes out to $677.50. Then I plan on selling my Pixel 7 Pro, which is in fine condition. There's nothing wrong with it except for the weird bug, but I'm not going to, that's not, a reset will probably fix that. It looks like they're retailing for, honestly, I haven't considered it $400, but they've been selling for more than that, so I could probably make even more than that. The trade-in was $325 on Google, and I was like, I could probably beat that with selling it on Swappa. So I'll probably sell it for maybe $400 on Swappa. I like to toss in like a cable or something to get the price up a little bit higher. And then Google One, my 1 terabyte subscription, also gets me 10% off of whatever retail price you pay on the Google Store. So I get $67.75 in the form of Google Store credit, and I'll be using that for a new case. I like the Bellroy leather cases. And then Capital One was doing 4% back through their shopping portal for Capital One Shopping, which actually did track. I got an email for it, which I was surprised by. So that's another $27. And then cash back via the card I used, which was $15.23. I wound up using my Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite card, which I thought had extended warranty benefits to it, but just my Venture X does. And I tried to use my Venture X to purchase this, but I didn't have the physical card on me, and it kept denying me for some reason with the card number that I had saved. So maybe I got like a new CVV or something. I need to re-update my note. That's not a note stock, but I need to update where I store my credit card numbers. Anyway, after all that cash back and reselling of my existing phone, it comes out to $167.50. So for a phone that retails for almost $1,200, I think that's a fantastic deal. And if you consider it, it's like maybe a $12 a month if I only use it for a year. So it's really not that bad in my opinion. And I like having the new phones. Next, I've definitely mentioned this before, but Shell is again doing 20 cents back per gallon on December 20th. You have to have a fuel rewards account, and you have to receive the email and activate the offer. But I do this every time. There's a Shell that's not really close to me. Maybe it's like 10 miles from me, but it's aggressively lower than all the other Shells around me. And with this 20 cents off per gallon, I'll get even more savings on it. And that's in addition to the 5 cents that I already get for being a gold member. And then on top of it, I get 10% back with Albert, up to $50 spent. So I'll fill my tank up. It'll probably be like $40, and I'll get $4 back through Albert, and I'll get all the discounts for the price for gas. Around me, gas right now, a good price is $2.99. So I'll probably spend like $275 when I fill up, plus 10% back. So it's not crazy, but I like to sort of min-max and gamify these things. So clearly I have a podcast for this. So that's why I find excitement in these things. Next was something that was posted as the lightning deal. Actually, I wanted to mention that the Pixel 8 Pro offer was also posted as lightning deal. Another lightning deal that I shared was Top Cash Back did another one of their incentives, spend $15, get $250 back. I mean, they've done these very frequently, but they only last for like the day they come out or for 2 days. So if you would find use in spending $15, you can even buy just a $15 gift card on Top Cash Back's website. That's what I've been doing, just buying like a Google Play gift card because I have YouTube TV and a bunch of other things that I pay for on my Google store. And I just buy gift cards. It comes out to like 20% off, maybe a little bit less. But if you would find use in buying those $15 and you don't want to constantly have to refresh Doctor of Credit, I will share it in the podcast. So even just using one of these would give you a month and a half of the Patreon subscription. Next, I started using Fidelity Cash Management account debit card again. I was conversing with Kung Claus or Kung Savage, whatever it goes by these days. But I was using my Wealthfront debit card, and I'm just sick of having to go to only Allpoint debit card ATM networks in order to not get a fee. And Wealthfront also charges, in addition to whatever fee the ATM does, they charge $250 for using your ATM at an out-of-network ATM, which is really annoying. But Fidelity Cash Managed Accounts debit card has no ATM fees, international or domestic, which is fantastic. And on top of that, you can get 5% APY on your cash stored there if you invest in SPAXX, which is their money market fund. And where Kung gave me, actually, was it Kung? Somebody in the Simple Finances Discord shared that you can actually put the money in your investment side of things, have it automatically invest in SPAXX, and then set your overdraft to pull from that brokerage account, and it'll just liquidate the SPAXX and instantly withdraw the funds, and there's nothing you have to do. And when you deposit the funds again, you don't have to purchase SPAXX again. Because if you just leave cash in the cash management account, it earns, I think, 2.7%. So why not earn an extra 2.3%? Next, I discussed sportsbooks last episode, so this episode has a little bit more on sportsbooks, so sorry if you aren't interested or don't like that kind of information. But I saw this pop up in my Venmo app where DraftKings was doing a $25 promotion where you deposit into DraftKings $100 from Venmo and they give you $25. It looks like this is limited to first 8,000 people that do it, and it came live on December 1st and closes out at the end of the year. So I'm not sure if they've already given out their 8,000 offers. They don't tell you. But I went through and I did it. You don't have to spend the funds. I just deposit it into my DraftKings account. It does say that they can take up to 72 hours to credit it. So I'll just be waiting to see if I get something. If I don't get it, no big deal. I'll just take the funds back out. But I figured I'd mention it, and I'll let y'all know if it does happen. Only a few things left here. I got an email from Wealthfront saying if they're doing same-day withdrawals. This is through RTP, so there's only some supported banks, but it's nice to see. I've been using Juno as my same-day transfers, but I just recently they're not very consistent. So I set up a same-day transfer on Monday at 8 a.m. to leave my Juno account, and the external account didn't receive the funds until, I think it was this morning, which isn't same day. They say 1 to 2 business days, but normally it happens normally they submit the transfer at like 3 p.m. Eastern time, and then it hits my account by the next morning. But that didn't happen, and it was a decent chunk. It was like $4,000, so it was a little annoying that it wasn't as quick as I had hoped, but I figured I'd mention that. Also, the Juno Discord has been just riddled with spam bots. And Juno looks like they're coming back and trying to do a resurgence and do a little bit of a comeback. So some member of Juno came in and said, we've neglected our community. We're going to do better. We're going to make improvements that you guys have been mentioning. So we'll see if anything comes of it. I just used Juno for my little debit card funding cashback thing that I got going on, just because they do the same day transfers, which is very convenient. But figured I'd mention that. All right, second to last bullet. Brian R. on Simple Finance Discord again shared that he was being targeted for an account review. So Capital One looks like they're doing these again. I know they've done them in the past, but specifically they mentioned that they'll be doing one in February for them. So they do this and they say that looking at your past spend for the past so much time on your credit card, you haven't been using your full credit limit. And because of this, we're going to lower your credit limit to something that you use more frequently. So let's say you have a $20,000 credit limit on your Ventrax and you only normally spend $1,000 a month. They could lower your credit limit to say like $5,000. They say though they won't lower it too much and they will still leave you some headroom. But you're also able to just opt out of this if you want to call them and tell them, hey, my spending habits are going to change. I need my full credit limit. There's nothing good for you as the customer if your credit limit goes down. Might as well have more. People say that your utility should be at like 10 to 20%. Utility is only worth like 10% of your credit score, so that's really not worth min-maxing. I mean, shit, I try not to curse on this. My credit limit is at like $250,000 because I have 24 credit cards, so my utilization doesn't really matter. I don't remember if I said utility utilization, but my utilization doesn't really matter and only takes up a small part of your credit score anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then finally, our last topic today, I feel like I've been talking for an hour. Last year, Amazon did this, and Dr. Credit's reporting that they're doing it again. You can go through your Alexa, if you have an Alexa, or download the Alexa app on your phone and tell it, Alexa, tip my driver. And Amazon has a certain limit that they're going to give out and apparently give their drivers some money. So they give $5 to your local driver that delivers to you. So why not? It takes a little time and costs you nothing. It's free. You don't tip anything. It comes out of Amazon's pocket. So it's a nice little thing. If you have some time, set it up. And I will be downloading the Alexa app saying, Alexa, tip my driver, and then immediately deleting the app. But that's it for this episode. I think that'll be it for this year. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your time with your family. If you don't have time with your family, enjoy your time with your friends. If not, enjoy the wonderful winter season. And thanks as always for listening. I hope you enjoyed and have a good one.